Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
In good time. During an early stage. Early on in her career. Before the usual time or the time expected. She graduated early. Belonging to the distant past. The early inhabitants of Europe. At or near the beginning of a period of time or course of events or before the usual or expected time. Early morning. Being or occurring at an early stage of development. In an early stage. Expected in the near future. Look for an early end to the negotiations. Of an early stage in the development of a language or literature. Very young. At an early age. In good time. He awoke betimes that morning. During an early stage. Early on in her career. Before the usual time or the time expected. The house was completed ahead of time. Before the usual time or the time expected. Belonging to some prior time. Our former glory. Belonging to the distant past. Former generations. Used especially of persons of the immediate past. The former president. The first of two or the first mentioned of two. Tom and Dick were both heroes, but only the former is remembered today. Referring to the first of two things or persons mentioned, or the earlier one or ones of several. The novel was made into a film in 1943 and again in 1967. I prefer the former version to the latter one. Belonging to the distant past. In other times. Not the same one or ones already mentioned or implied. Today isn't any other day. Recently past. The other evening. Very unusual. Different in character or quality from the normal or expected. A strange, other dimension where his powers seem to fail. A verb tense that expresses actions or states in the past. The time that has elapsed. Forget the past. So as to pass a given point. Every hour a train goes past. Of a person who has held and relinquished a position or office. A earlier period in someone's life, especially one that they have reason to keep secret. Reporters dug into the candidate's past. Earlier than the present time, no longer current. Time past. Move forward, also in the metaphorical sense. Being ahead of time or need. Gave advance warning. A change for the better, progress in development. A movement forward. Give a promotion to or assign to a higher position. Women tend not to advance in the major law firms. An amount paid before it is earned. A tentative suggestion designed to elicit the reactions of others. She rejected his advances. Situated ahead or going before. An advance party. Increase or raise. Increase in price or value. The news caused a general advance on the stock market. Obtain advantages, such as points, etc. Develop in a positive way. Move forward. We have to advance clocks and watches when we travel eastward. The act of moving forward, as toward a goal. Rise in rate or price. Contribute to the progress or growth of. Bring forward for consideration or acceptance. Advance an argument. Cause to move forward. Develop further. Pay in advance. Can you advance me some money? Of or relating to the earliest known rocks formed during the Precambrian eon. The time from 3,800 million years to 2,500 million years ago. Earth's crust formed. Unicellular organisms or earliest forms of life. Of or belonging to earlier of two divisions of the Precambrian era. Of or relating to the earliest known rocks formed during the Precambrian eon. The time from 3,800 million years to 2,500 million years ago. Earth's crust formed. Unicellular organisms or earliest forms of life. The time from 3,800 million years to 2,500 million years ago. Earth's crust formed. Unicellular organisms or earliest forms of life. Of or belonging to earlier of two divisions of the Precambrian era. Archeozoic life forms. Before the appearance of life. Azoic rocks contain not organic remains. Being ahead of time or need. Was beforehand with her report. Ahead of time, in anticipation. Should have made reservations beforehand. Characteristic of or relating to people inhabiting a region from the beginning. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia. An Indigenous person who was born in a particular place. The Canadian government scrapped plans to tax the grants to Aboriginal college students. Having existed from the beginning, in an earliest or original stage or state. Aboriginal forests. Comparatives of soon or early. Came earlier than I expected. Comparative and superlative of early, more early than, most early. A fashion popular in earlier times. Earlier in time, previously. He called me the day before, but your call had come even earlier. Before now. With the least delay. Comparative and superlative of early, more early than, most early. Verdi's earliest and most raucous opera. Being somewhat early. At an earlyish hour. Too soon or too hasty. A premature judgment. Uncommonly early or before the expected time. Illness led to his premature death. Born after a gestation period of less than the normal time. A premature infant. Just preceding something else in time or order. The previous owner. Too soon or too hasty. Our condemnation of him was a bit previous. Used especially of persons, of the immediate past. The previous occupant of the White House. Having existed from the beginning, in an earliest or original stage or state. Serving as an essential component. Having existed from the beginning, in an earliest or original stage or state. Primal eras before the appearance of life on Earth. Having existed from the beginning, in an earliest or original stage or state. The forest primeval. Having existed from the beginning, in an earliest or original stage or state. Primordial matter. From 2,500 to 544 million years ago, bacteria and fungi, primitive multicellular organisms, formed in the later of two divisions of the Precambrian era. Proterozoic life forms, indicating the first or earliest or original. Proto is a combining form in a word like proto-language that refers to the hypothetical ancestor of another language or group of languages. Badly timed. An untimely remark. Too soon, in a premature manner. Uncommonly early or before the expected time. Alcohol brought him to an untimely end. Eliminate urine. Used informally, very small. A wee tot. A short time. Bide a wee. Very early. The wee hours of the morning. Only partly in existence, imperfectly formed. A vague inchoate idea. Appearing or developing early. Precocious flowers appear before the leaves as in some species of magnolias. Characterized by or characteristic of exceptionally early development or maturity, especially in mental aptitude. A precocious child.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.